Hey guys, Jeremiah with Steps Pressure Washing and More. Out here in Andrew, North Carolina today. We're going to be doing 2 house washes, a sidewalk, and we're going to be taking a look at somebody's gutter line. They say they want it to get repaired, so I'll take a look at it and get them a quote ready. It is about 41 degrees right now, so it is above freezing, so we're going to get out there and start washing. It is pollen time right now, so if you notice I'm sounding a little bit like I'm dealing with some allergies, I am, but also nobody really wants to get their house washed while the pollen's coming down, so I'm grateful to have 2 jobs on the schedule for today and some more tomorrow, but it is definitely one of those things where everybody wants to schedule for after. Luckily the phone's still ringing, so I'm grateful for that, but let's get out there, we'll do some washing. Alrighty, out on house number 1, we're going to be doing these front fence panels right here. And then coming around, I've got the green masking tape out. I'm taping up door locks. Noting any damage I'm finding. I'm seeing this right here. This window is broken. So I'm going to avoid this window altogether. Just to make sure I'm not pushing anything into the garage. Taped up a couple holes here. I call them lawnmower holes, where the lawnmower will like throw a rock into the siding. This here is probably the worst side of it. It's not the worst I've ever seen, but it's definitely ready for a clean. My water hooked up, trailer backed into the driveway. I tried to make it from the road, but it unfortunately wouldn't reach all the way around the house, so I had to go ahead and disconnect everything. I'm really liking the quick connects for the water intake because it's allowing me to do just that. I was able to disconnect both of my hoses real quick and easy. A little bit of oxidation here. Yeah, definitely got oxidized on the sunnier side of the house. Doing these fence panels as well. It allowed me to just disconnect my hoses, didn't have to roll anything up. Here, I bagged the 2 speakers here in the corners. I'm going to tape this up real quick. Alright, there you go, nice and taped up. I'm going to do an oxidation test here on the south side of the house. Here's another lawnmower hole. Woo! Yes, very, very oxidized here on the southern part of the house, so that is not great, but it's doable. Going around here, not a lot of growth, but definitely plenty of dirt and grime, so I'm going to wash all that off, and I'll get all these porch railings as well. Not doing much on the inside of the screened-in porch because they have a lot of electronic equipment. So I'm going to be washing the house and a couple of the railings, but leaving it at that. A lot of stuff sticking out of their gutters here, so while I have the ladder out from doing the speakers, I might pop up here and see what's going on with their gutter line and see if they want me to come back out for them. Alright. I'm going to crank this up and get to washing. I got the pressure washer cranked up. One great thing about running bypass is I can leave my trigger all the way where I need it to actually be, and I can just work my way back to the truck rather than having to hold the trigger while I pull that starter or the starting cord. Did that for a very long time. Alright. Just waiting on a little bit of water to come on out. Lead the line. Got a lot of sunshine today. Just waiting on a little bit of SH. We're ready to rock and roll. There we go. Nice and light pressure on the soffits. Getting everything nice and saturated. Starting here in the direct sunlight, I'm definitely going to be paying attention to the time I'm letting this dwell, because even though it's not very hot, the sun will dry this siding out super fast. And I'm going to do my best to avoid that. Again, attempting to get as little SH into the porch area as possible, just because they have a lot of electronics out there. Well, not necessarily a lot of electronics, but definitely not outdoor grade electronics is what I'm trying to say here. Unless they are, but I'm not really looking to take a risk whether or not the stuff outside is rated for outdoors. I'm just going to get this cleaned up and move along. Alright, so here's a pretty good shot of that reduced aeration with the xjet. The last house I did and made a video on with the 12-inch extension was a one-story house. It really didn't have any kind of peak to it. So this kind of gives you a little bit of an example here. I'm standing pretty far back and I'm getting a ton of water right where I want it, and not having any issues with the slight wind we have today. So that 12-inch extension has done very well. Again, it might not be every day, but this has been pretty spot on with what I'm needing. Looks like we got a little trim coming loose here. Let me see what I can do. Just pop that back in. There we go. Yeah. Alright. Should keep the water out. Moving a lot slower today than I would like to. We did a lot of damage control. I went around and taped up a lot of stuff. Never a great day when you have to move the truck. I gauged incorrectly on how much room I had on my hose, or length I had on my hose, so I was able to reach the water inlet, but not all the way around the house. So just moving a little slow today, and not necessarily running late for my next job. I do arrival windows, so I've got a 2-hour window to arrive. I just really like to get there earlier in that arrival window. It looks like we were going to be arriving a little bit later, but that's all right. You know, I learned that lesson early on, that you can't always be there at exactly 12 o'clock or exactly 10 o'clock or 8 a.m. Stuff comes up. So as a business owner, I have the freedom of saying I'll be there in this 2-hour window and I'll let you know when I'm on my way. That way, keeps them a little happier, keeps me a little happier, and I don't have to rush through the job I'm currently doing. I can take my time and do it correctly. Because nobody wants their job to be rushed, especially when you're not paying the $99 guy. You want it to be done correctly. And that's what we're always aiming for. Do it right the first time. And no callbacks. We've only had one callback so far. Maybe two. Feeling like it's two. But I'm going to say that's a pretty good record. And I'm not going to make excuses for why I ended up having to go back on those jobs, but I'll learn from my mistakes and keep moving. For those of you curious, we're using a 1% mix, and that is a 9% in the tank, 1% by the time it comes out here. It's actually, I believe, a 0.99% by the time it comes out here. So with degradation, I'm sure we're probably looking a little bit lower than 1%, just because the soap does degrade, or the SH does degrade over time, but pretty close to 1%, and that's what we're aiming for. Knocks this out in no time. A lot of grass stuck to the wall, but we're aiming for the algae. Do the north side of this shed real quick, a little freebie while we're here. Yeehaw. Alright, I'm going to keep this wet, make sure it doesn't dry up on me, and give it a good rinse. Also going to come around here to the front while this is sitting, and I'm going to pre-wet all of these plants just to make sure that our 1% mix doesn't damage them. So far we've had a lot of good luck, and I don't want to end that streak today. So I'm going to get these all pre-wet, and then I'll come around, rinse this, and then I'll wash this. Well, I'm on the last side now. Going to knock out this fence area. This is not nearly as green as the last side. Get this all nice and tidied up. I've tightened up my fan a little bit so I can stand a little farther back. One of those tips and tricks that I picked up along the way from some of our subscribers. So thank you for giving me that tip. This should speed up my operation a little bit. Of just bringing that fan into a bit more of a needle and cover more area without moving around. They had a considerable amount of guano behind one of their shutters above the garage. And it just continuously was dumping out of there, so I treat that like I would a leaker or a leaking soffit, where you rinse it the best you can, and then you mist to rinse away what's coming out of there. Then you mist again until it's gone. If you just keep hitting it with medium to high pressure, even low pressure, directly on it, you're going to just keep getting more and more out of there. And as much as I would like to get as much out of there as I can, I'm also a realist I'm also going to say that is probably not the best course of action on everything, especially when it's something like bat droppings. And there may be a bat inside that I'm trying to rinse out as well. So far this one has come out very, very well. Let the areas dwell that needed to dwell. Kept the areas wet that were facing the sun. So, beautiful spring day. Hopefully job number 2 does not take all that much time up. I will keep time as a factor as I'm washing, trying to make sure that I'm doing all my best practices on a quick wash. But again, 2 in 1 day, I really can take my time. You know, I didn't get a late start. Came out when it was about 41 degrees. Oh, yeah, and that's the window that I'm not going to wash because it is broken. Considerable amount of fallout, and well, maybe not fallout, but dust, dirt, and debris under this eave. Alright, got the tank filling up, pulled my hose around. These are the gutters that we were talking about, and they are apparently leaking at all of the seals, so I'm going to get them a quote together to replace all of the seals. But unfortunately, don't believe I'm going to be able to guarantee the work on that, just because these are cheaper than usual, and they may be better off. I know the husband installed them himself, so it's possible that he can just do a repair and they can be okay with just that. But I'll get him a quote either way. While we're here, we're going to be doing this little area, these 4 squares in front of the garage. And then we're going to be going down and doing this sidewalk that leads around to the back of the house. Tank is almost full, so I'm going to go ahead and go around and do some damage control, tape up the door locks, and just make sure there's nothing else that we need to be giving a lot of attention to. Let's do a quick oxidation check here on the front of the house. Nothing terrible. Around here, the southern side of the house. This should just a little bit, not bad. All right. Well, I'm gonna get this thing washed up. All right, so far we're rolling right along. Get a good saturation on all the surfaces. And now I just have to do the rinse and clean the driveway. But first I'm gonna hit this little bit of trim that's on here for clearly no reason other than just to give me something else to wash. that's it. Well, I was hoping to get some after shots on that one, but the customer came out and they started putting everything back together. And we got to talking, and I ended up staying there a little too long, so I had to get on home so I could get to the next thing I'm doing, which is go watch my nephews do some taekwondo. Well, I'm going to go ahead and pack it up for the night, get back at it first thing tomorrow morning. Y'all be safe out there.